In the London borough of Southwark, the tenants of Chaucer House are taking the law into their own hands.
Go down and man that middle one. Anybody going to work, let them go, but let no official in.
Angry that once more Southwark had broken its promise to rehouse them, these tenants in short-stay accommodation, a halfway house for homeless families, man the barricades and wait for the officials' next move.
If you want to get in here, you go and get Mercer down here and let's see the squalor of the people living in here. And if he can sort of convince us, the committee, right, that we are wrong, which we know we're not, because we've been fighting too bloody long, then we'll give in.
Unemployed John Riches and his committee of tenants see it as a fight against them, the officials, but also as a plea for better housing, better treatment, more understanding, and above all, a better future. The actual number of homeless families drifting throughout the country is difficult to assess. But what many of the city boroughs can tell is that the number is increasing. While the richer boroughs are pressurized into closing down their hostels, enabling private developers to build more offices and hotels, those thrown back onto the streets are drifting eastward to the poorer boroughs. Southwark believe they receive more than their fair share of the homeless. Having inherited decaying property and few social amenities, the council's priority is building. For an ambitious council, the homeless are an embarrassment, but the law states after 24 hours in a borough they must accommodate. Many councils who've closed their hostels give families the bus fare out to boroughs like Southwark.
Joseph, come on up here. Come up here. You want your father comes in there.
Chaucer houses 96 families, which means 240 children. Supposedly short stay, some families have been here for years. Recently, they formed a tenants association. Their unpaid leader is John Riches.
Weren't you at school again?
So I don't feel like going to school.
Does your
Mum
mum-
knows? Yeah.
What does she say?
So I can stay off. Because my dad don't time.
Yeah, but what about your dad? What about you? Sod your dad, sod your mum, what about you? How long ago was it when you was at court?
Can't remember, just before Christmas it was.
Just, what do they say?
So if I don't go to school, I get put away again.
Do you want to be put away?
No,
How long did the court say they'll put you away for?
3 years.
3 years. And how old are you now?
Near 15.
So that means you're 18 when you come out. So you're going to screw your nut and start going?
Yes.
You're playing football here, right outside the welfare door. You know what they're like?
Yes.
They love nicking you.
I know.
Because you know what they're like with the bloody police? You just pick the phone up and they'll be in here walking in and you're away because the police have been told to watch for you if they see you wandering around the street or anywhere to take you into custody. And I told you that last week.
Yes.
So screw your nut.
Yes, John.
He plays truant a lot. And it's only because they keep on at him when he's there, and that's why he comes out again. He just won't stay in school. I mean, he's not a bad boy, really. He can behave himself when he wants to.
The block was originally owned by the London County Council and was handed over to Southwark in 1965 as accommodation for homeless families. The block, however, has come to have other meanings for its tenants. The block to a job, they have the wrong address. The block to reasonable treatment from officials. The block to being self-sufficient. For Chaucer breeds apathy, and throughout the community, contempt, hatred, misunderstanding. One who has suffered the block for 2 years is Edie.
I got going to hospital. I got a telegram yesterday to say that I had to go in hospital for this abortion. I've had 2 children and I've been deserted And this will be the third time I've been deserted, so it's best if it's taken away, you know. Because it's not fair to my other two children, and it's not fair to this one. So, they're just going to take it away for me.
Infant mortality is not uncommon to Chaucer House, whether it be from pneumonia, pleurisy, or gastroenteritis. The flowers sent by neighbours are for Stephen, who lived for only 8 weeks before dying of bronchial pneumonia.
Well, I was living with people, and then the council kept coming down and saying that she mustn't live with you. Either you get rid of her or we give you a notice to quit. So I went down to the welfare and told them that I had nowhere to live. So they said, well, the only thing we can do is put the children into care until we get a place for you. Well, I didn't really want that, but I accepted it, you know, because I couldn't very well walk the streets with the children. They went into care, and then a couple of weeks afterwards, 6 weeks afterwards, I got this place. I nearly cried when I came in here, but I thought, well, it's somewhere to live. I can have the children home. But since I've been in here, they've gone into care again. This is about the third time they've been in care. The baby kept going in hospital with gastric enteritis. So they came up and told me that if I didn't have them put away voluntary, they was going to take me to court to have them taken away for good. So I had them put away voluntary. I was supposed to be getting married on the 22nd of January, but it all fell through again. So, I mean, I was pregnant. He knew I was pregnant. And that was that, you know. He went. I'm still stuck with a baby that I've got to get rid of because I can't have him in, because I can't have it in here. I wouldn't fetch a baby back here. Definitely not.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, you're going to get me down then?
Worried?
Yeah.
I think we all are. You said something about you wouldn't come back in here.
I'm not coming back in here. Definitely not. And I don't care if I have to walk the streets on my own. I'm definitely not coming back in Chaucer House. Definitely not.
Family, so the lot.
Yeah.
What about the flat? When you go, got somebody to look after it?
No, not yet. You can take the key, can't you?
Let's simply get in this one.
Stephen was young, and so are his parents.
Brought young children to him that he should touch them,
and his disciples rebuked those who brought them. But when Jesus saw it, he was much displeased, and said unto them, Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of God. We commend unto thy hands of mercy, most merciful Father, the soul of this thy child, and we commit his body to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
The medical officer for health in Southwark is Dr. Epsom.
I don't think there is an illness of the poor as such. We've had numerous examples of an elderly, rather poor-looking woman who has collapsed. She lives a rather nomadic sort of life, only to find that when she's been taken to hospital and examined, either in her bag or stuffed in her clothing somewhere, up to thousands of pounds have been found. Today, with the wonderful work of the health visitors, the poorest of families are visited and a close eye is kept on them. Every effort is made to make available all the services to these people. And if they don't use them, it's entirely their own fault.
Well, I've never seen the mobile unit out there before, and nobody's ever told us that one's coming round. Well, I didn't know it was there until I went round the shop. And when I see it over there, I went over there, and I was told that you weren't allowed to go in there without an appointment. But if you've got mucker back going to an appointment to go see a clinic, a mobile clinic, you might as well make an appointment and go down to see your own doctor, don't you? To me, it just seems a waste of time. You never see a mobile clinic in Chaucer House. All you get in Chaucer is an ice cream van.
And my gyro, please.
Every week, the Social Security send to the unemployed of Chaucer a gyro, the cheque for benefit. But it doesn't go as is normal to the individual. It goes to the social workers in the welfare office. For in the block, it is thought that the tenants cannot be trusted not to steal each other's benefit. So John Riches must spend a little more of his time asking and waiting.
What time does Edie's come? Is that the last one then? Can I see Mrs. Chorley just a minute, please?
3 young social workers are paid by Southwark's Social Welfare Department to look after the needs of over 500 people. Senior social worker Mrs. Chorley leads the team, a team that not only looks after the needs of Chaucer tenants, but must carry out the requirements of the council, their paymasters and the judges of their career and promotion prospects. For Mrs. Chorley and her staff, not an easy task, especially when many tenants are depressed and frustrated at having been so long in short-stay accommodation. Mrs. Gerrard, for instance.
I've been here 3 years, since 1969. And we've never had the chance to get out yet a while. Only they told me when I went to see Mrs. Chorley that she'd get us a place for her mum, and she'd never kept her promise. And she said we'd move once we pay the rent arrears, not until. But that, I don't know how long that'll be. I paid the rent regular because she promised to get us a place, but she never, so I stopped. And now we only owe 29 and she still won't move us. I mean, there's other people, they owe more than I do in here, and they get out.
Southwark's housing manager, Cyril Mercer.
The council has adopted a reasonable policy from the rehousing point of view from Chaucer over the last few years. Rent arrears which have accrued at Chaucer House and former arrears owing in respect of hostel accommodation are not, to a large extent, taken into consideration in rehousing. The advice is always sought here of the Social Services Department and the social workers that are employed in Chaucer as to whether or not intensive social work, which is applied in many cases, is having some effect. And if the Social Services Department, through its social workers, are satisfied that some progress is being made, that there is a response to the social work which is being given, well then these families will have a reasonably good chance of being rehoused.
My husband earns £16 a week, and out of that I pay £3 a week rent, and the rest I have to fight buy cold food and their underclothes to go to school, tidy. So I don't have much left.
Southwark spends £4 million a year on social services, part teaching people like Mrs. Gerrard to stand on their own 2 feet. but when you exist below the poverty line, is teaching the main need. Director of Social Services, Ken Selleck.
We can advise them on how to save up to pay their rents, how to look after their children, how to provide money to keep them going. But we've got to consider too that some of these families are really well below the poverty line and they need the sort of assistance that we could give them. It isn't very much help to them just to give them anything material from this point of view. We've got to instill in them the desire to pull themselves up by their bootstrings in a way, and this, of course, isn't easy.
Voluntary social worker Guy Braithwaite.
Everywhere they go, people ask them their name, their age, their address, when they were last on supplementary benefit, when they last had a job, what their sources of income are, why they're doing what they're doing. And then they can be referred, passed on to somebody else, because often the person that they're talking to says, I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, you go and see Mr. So-and-so at that office. So they get into what we call a sort of revolving door situation. So they become just like a parcel in a sorting office. They're posted from official to official.
The Applications and Lettings Office is where some of the officials work.
They haven't got a bedroom, haven't got a kitchen. Every time it rains, the house is flooded out.
Then I suggest you go to Walworth Road and apply for a transfer. This now is a management matter.
And that means me have to stay in that house till 1974.
Unless, of course, they're prepared to put you on the transfer list. I mean, you could go on the transfer list. Have you asked them?
Well, they've been telling me that that you lot's going to rehouse me.
Put into Chaucer as a result of her previous landlord's mortgage being foreclosed, this woman never let the block get her down. She paid the rent and was eventually rewarded. Unfortunately, the house leaves much to be desired.
They say that's patch and repair. They expect people to live in it. But that's not all you want to come through here. Something worse. Now just take a look at that. Isn't that scandalous? All the umbrellas went for me now. Can I get that up now, look here?
Right. Is it clearance here? It is, isn't it? Elstead Street?
Well, it should be. If you said, I bet you wouldn't give me your key and you take mine.
No, right.
You know?
November 71.
Well, the only thing I can say, it's in those files underneath at the bottom there.
It's there, it's not there.
Well, after the second letter, Fred takes them, doesn't he?
19 Mallard House.
I can check. And the name is?
It's Howard.
What? Have you been up? Can I ask you? No, you want to not got it there now. The only other place I can check is in my book.
It's definitely not here. Right. Well, you can check if you like.
I can't trace anything from here, so the best thing you better do is to send it back to district office with no trace.
Are there any to file away?
The Applications and Lettings Office deals annually with 18,000 such applications, each applicant regarding their needs as being of the most urgent priority.
What's up, the old man?
See ya!
The department is run by John White.
I am the Senior Lettings Officer of the London Borough of Southwark, and this is the Applications and Lettings section. The qualifications that we expect of any of our interviewing staff do not necessarily necessitate any educational attainment or the possession of any particular degree. The overriding factor here is their ability to understand people and, above all, to like people.
Hello, this is Smith. Hello.
Well, now you're saying that you moved in the same time as Mrs. Ogden.
I don't know what her name is. She's number 23.
23. Well, unfortunately, when the town clerk sent a notice of entry on this case, it was returned unoccupied. So you didn't move in at that time, and that was in October. You didn't actually move in till after that date, did you? When did you get married?
We weren't actually in there.
No, that's what I'm saying. You wasn't living
there. No, because we was doing it up. It was in
Yes.
such a terrible state. You couldn't have moved in how it was.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's unfortunate that, but you didn't actually move in when
we were supposed to see
done.
someone to come round to see us, but unfortunately I was at work, so was my husband.
Yeah, we did make an appointment, but you didn't keep it.
No, I didn't know it was that important.
Well, all housing is important, dear, isn't it?
I know that. That's probably how that woman across the road's got it, then, isn't she?
Well, I mean, they was there when we visited, you see, and Mrs. Ogden, I mean, she did go in before you.
It wasn't that long before me,
No,
though,
but
was
she
it?
did go in before you,
Well,
and she was
her place
actually
was probably-
living there, wasn't she?
Yeah, her place was probably all right to go into.
No, it wasn't really. It was. I mean, this is why they represented it as unfit, because of the condition of the place. I mean,
Have you seen my place?
Yes, but you moved in there knowing what it was like.
She was in there on a Monday, we was in there on a Friday. A week's, well, about 5 days, 4 days different, and then she's out. They've moved her.
Yes, I know that.
To get a flat these
I know,
days,
but
it's
you
terrible.
can't expect the council to house you now, knowing that you moved into an area expecting a flat.
We didn't move in there expecting a flat at all.
Yeah, but you moved in there knowing it was a clearance area. I mean,
when we went to get the flat, the bloke at where I went to get it said they're coming down. He said, but I don't know when. Could be any time.
Yeah, well,
could be a year.
So you took a chance.
Yeah, I took a chance because if
Well,
we
I'm
was there a
afraid-
couple of years, fair enough.
Yeah, but I'm afraid you.
We wouldn't have spent that money we spent on that place.
No, I mean, it was represented as unfit, and the landlord knew of this way back.
But why didn't he tell us?
Way
Why
back
let
in
it to us and
February.
let us spend the money we
I
spent
quite
on
agree.
it?
It's the landlord's at fault on this case. They shouldn't have done it on this. I quite agree. It's unfortunate. But as far as I can say, there being no housing liability, and unless, of course, the committee change their mind and give you something, I don't know. But at this stage, all I can say is no housing liability.
No, your case was out for correspondence, Mr. Luxton. You are requesting Cooper's Road.
Yeah, so that's how I've come up with that, you see. I filled in an application form like this about a year ago, and we got just back nothing. We cannot have nothing. And about 4 weeks ago, my wife had a medical certificate because she might suffer a mental illness if we're not moved soon.
Police say no warning.
Can you go and call the children up and get a breakfast from that,
After a
please?
suspicious car was noticed. It had
Come on, children. Something up.
Americans claim that fighter bombers had deployed in British on the rail line connecting the North.
Go, Sandra. There you go.
For the past 5 years, this family have made regular visits to applications and lettings, filled in countless forms, bandied words with officials, and waited.
Restarted after a one-day shutdown caused by an
Mr. Luxton earns a good wage, but lives in overcrowded private accommodation. No bathroom and dustbins on the landing. At the mercy of landlords and property deals, Chaucer for them could become a reality. The council has declared the area slum clearance, but by the year 2005, like their parents who live over the road, the Luxtons could wait all their lives.
I often ask myself, why do we have to do this? I keep going up to the housing department and they just tell me they can't move me. This has been going on for 4 years and I come under the council. Our councillor, Mr. Fowler, he told me to go to Spa Road and ask to see Mr. White, which I did. But he just refused to see me. In fact, I thought the woman that interviewed me was going to have a fit. The way she jumped up off her chair and, no, you can't see Mr. White. He won't see you. And her old head nearly knocked off. I thought to myself, love, good Lord, lady, you'll do yourself an injury before long.
Sandra?
Hello, Andrew. Come on, out of there. I've only just got in. Give us a chance.
One does accept that there is invariably adverse criticism from members of the public, be they either housing applicants, families who are known as decantees. They're the families who have got to be compulsorily moved from either slum clearance or redevelopment areas, and in quite a goodly number of cases from our own tenants, who feel that we don't give any individual consideration to their cases. Now, this is certainly not true, because contrary to popular belief, both myself and my staff here, we take a very, very great personal interest in individual people, but we do nevertheless accept the situation that families do have this sort of we and they complex, as far as we're known as that lot up at the town hall.
For the inhabitants of the block, life is a constant battle of them and us.
Well, I'm up to the court now. The council have got a repossession order against me and my wife, because we refused to pay our rent when we first moved in here, because they evicted me from a premises which is twice as large as this, and yet they evicted me for overcrowding. Now, if they evict us out of here, we're homeless again, and therefore they've got to put us back in again. And then evict us again and put us back again. To me, it's one bloody great fast.
John Riches owes £150 rent, but claims that with a family of 5 and an income of £14.68, it is often a choice of food or rent.
Before the war, when there wasn't so much money about, and when people were certainly in extremely straitened circumstances, rents as a rule were paid, arrears weren't a worry. There were the occasional cases. Today, since the war, arrears everywhere have continued to increase. One can only put this down to a general lessening of individual discipline so far as people are concerned. Whereas once upon a time, local authorities, private landlords, if rent was not paid, would simply go to court, bring the bailiff in and evict families. This today is just not on.
Got to pay £4 a week, which is not off the arrears, that's the rent and thing, which is something I've been trying to do for months now, to get the Social Security to pay that £4 directly to the housing. So I've achieved it. I've had to go through that court, and I've got £11 costs as well now I've got to pay on top again. Yeah. But the registrar in there just can't believe there's such a stigma attached to Chaucer House. Standing in there and talking to that registrar or whatever it is, he was no sympathetic at all. Matter of fact, it was hard when we got into the debate about no milkman delivered to the Chaucer House, no bread, and you get nothing on HP. We got to live day by day by day. We got to have money all the time. I can't go down and pay my bloody rent, then go down to Social Security, and then come back again and wait 2 or 3 days for the rest of my money to come through. I just can't do it. My kids are going to have to go out at Sunday dinner. My kids won't do that for anybody. But when I started having the argument, I don't think he believed me. She's upset. She was in there. I had to get on the stand. I didn't like the idea of me getting on the stand because the rent book's in her name.
Well, I've been down to doctors for depressions while I've been here and that. And they put me on the pills, but they gave them to the welfare, so that I won't take them. So I have to go down the welfare for them every day, and they give me 4 a day. So that way there's no risk of me swallowing the lot.
I don't know. They don't care about the emotional side of it.
I've even thought of putting the gases on and doing it that way. It don't solve nothing really in the end, does it? The only thing that stopped me is somebody else having mother to my kids.
If I refused to pay this £4 a week, it'd be 28 days and the bailiffs will move in and I'm out. And but the kids are going to be taken in care, so they think. My wife wouldn't let the kids get taken in care. She's been pushed about and put at a post, living in Dr. Bernardo's home until she's the age of 15 and that, and she doesn't want her kids to go through the same. And I'll dare any man, woman, court, or anybody to try to take them kids away from her and myself.
We was staying with some friends down in Peckham for 3 years, and we was looking for accommodation then that would take children, and we couldn't find any. We had the money for key money in there. They just wouldn't take two children because I didn't have the baby then. And we went to one agency and they said they could help us, but the rent was £14 a week. And we couldn't afford £14 a week rent. So we got in touch with the welfare and that, and Miss Cummins. And at first she wouldn't help us. But in the end she did, because the housing people come down and they was going to change the locks and the keys on my mate's flat to stop us coming in. And Miss Cummins come down the same day and told us that we had a flat in. And we had to take it. Otherwise we'd be on the streets. I phoned up Castle House before we come in. I asked if they could help us. And all they said is they could take the kids. So I told them to come down with 2 boxes. Because that's the only way to take my kids off me. If they wanted them, they'd have them dead.
Whatever it was, bacon hodgepodge, Raimondo, that's right. It was sent in by Ut Karsgara, who is not here to hear me pronounce his name, and that's probably as well. Anyway, I say, bacon hodgepodge, I assume that you're all suitably poised at home, avec pen and paper, and assuming that, so, without more ado, we'll jolly well go, as they say. Start with 16 ounces of streaky smoked bacon in the piece, soaked overnight. There you go. One-liner. 16 ounces of streaky smoked bacon in the piece, soaked overnight.
Well, at the moment, I ain't got no hopes. And I'm not building on any hopes. It just falls through. So I might as well just sit and wait now. Now, pull your arm out.
You doing it me?
That's it. Right, get him.
Tony and John's marriage is a common law marriage, as are the majority of those in the block. Nevertheless, the need is the same. Could it be that if the marriages were legal and blessed, the chances of being rehoused would be more certain?
Good night.
I was called upon by the Social Services Department on one particular occasion to try to assist an unmarried mother with 3 children who was imminently pregnant with her 4th child. And as a result of our inquiries, we discovered that the father was actually living 2 or 3 streets away. And before determining the merits of this particular case, I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea if I was to send for the putative father and have a general informal chinwag with him to find out, you know, whether his intentions were honourable otherwise at some later date. This, I should explain, is not the normal procedure, but then again, I've discovered in my many years of experience that unorthodoxy sometimes pays. And I wrote to this particular character, and he duly turned up a few days later, and we had a talk for about 10 minutes, and I eventually posed the question, is it your intention to marry this girl? In which event, I would have no doubt that we'd be able to help you and your girlfriend and your 3 children, with 1 on the way, within the next few weeks or so. And this, the chap looked at me rather astonished, and there was a long pause, and he suddenly turned to me and said, no, I don't think I will marry her. And I said, well, you know, it's not for me to sort of, you know, pry into your personal affairs, but could you tell me why? And he said, well, as a matter of fact, I don't think I like her. Now, you see, as far as I'm concerned, where does one go from there?
Chaucer House. May I speak to Mrs. Chorley, please? Oh, Mrs. Chorley, I've rung up to let you know we've got accommodation for the Gerard family. It's a house in Peckham. at a rent of £4.20. Now, this is a patch repair house, similar to some of the other patch repairs we've had, but this particular house is in a future improvement area, though we haven't got a date for the improvement. The accommodation has 3 bedrooms, living room, kitchen and bathroom. Beg your pardon, I'm sorry, there isn't a bathroom, this particular, it's got 3 bedrooms, living room, kitchen. You will impress on them the importance of paying their rent regularly, won't you? Because it is higher than they have been paying. It's £4.20 a week, and they haven't managed to pay their current rent regularly.
What do you want?
Sorry, Mrs. Jarrett, can I just come in and have a chat with you?
Yes.
Mrs. Jarrett, I've just had a phone call from the housing department.
Yes.
And they've made you an offer of a house in Peckham.
Yes.
It's a 3-bedroom with a kitchen and toilet, but I'm afraid no bathroom.
I see, yes.
The rent is, I think, £4.20 a week.
Yes.
It's patch repair. I don't know how you feel about this. You know, this is the property that's got limited life. But I wondered if Mr. Gerard could get time off from work.
To go and see it?
Yeah.
I'll ask him, yes.
Possibly Monday. Do you think
Monday,
that'd be all right?
yes.
And we could go down and have a look at it.
Yes.
Would that be all right?
Yes, thank you.
Perhaps you'd come down to my office
Yes.
later on and we could talk about it a bit more.
Thank you. Right, thank you. It's all right, isn't it?
What about that then?
Hey, it's what you wanted, isn't it, Joe, in Peckham? Mr. Gerard wanted to go to Peckham anyway. Right nice, isn't it? And we'll be out next week, Joseph. Yeah. He's glad.
Be glad to get out of this old dump.
Your father won't mind that. That'll please him when he comes in tonight, won't it?
Although she swore never to come back, Edie returns to the block. She has no choice. With her children still in care, Edie exists on £7.25 a week, and of course owes rent. Too weak to work, she has still to endure the endless round of officials and contend with the problem of not succumbing to apathy.
Fed up. Went down to see the children yesterday. On the way down, Miss Gilmore told us, me and my friend Carol, when I get out of this godforsaken place, I can have a mum. But until then, they must stay there. And it's terrible when you're sitting there, talking to your own children, and they turn around and say, Mum, can I come home? And you say, not today, love. And then she turns around and says to you, why don't you want me home? Don't you love me no more?
Edie has more problems. Social Security are threatening to bring charges for misappropriation of benefit. A charity provides her with a solicitor.
Another case we're doing with the Supplementary Benefits Commission. Now, I understand that you were claiming supplementary benefit for your children at a time when they were in care.
Yes.
How long have they been in care, the children?
About 6 to 7 months.
And you've been getting money for quite a lot of that period, have you?
Yes, for all the time, because I've been buying clothes for them.
Did you know that you weren't allowed to get money for them while they were in care?
No, nobody had told me.
And the reason you did it was to buy clothes?
Yes, that was all.
Now, they may prosecute you, as you know, for this, because it is an offence under the Ministry of Social Security Act. 1966, and the maximum penalty under the Act is 3 months imprisonment or £100 fine, or both.
I'd sooner work. I don't like being on the MSS. In fact, I hate it, especially when you have to go down there. And you get insulted by some of them that just got fed up with the work, and they think, oh, well, we'll take it out on the Chaucer House mob. You walk up there, you get the full pelt. But they can't do it with me because I give them as good as they give me. I'd sooner be at work. It's out of this place, isn't it? 8 hours out of this place.
Applications and Lettings Office. A new house is ready, but for a deserving family.
Sheila, we've got a 4-bed here, property on North Peckham. I'm going to offer it to this one on the waiting list.
Yeah.
Now, we'll need a visit, so, I mean, we don't want any loss of rent, so we want to let it as soon as possible.
Well, we'll see if we can get a
can you
visit
get an
done
up-to-date
quickly.
visit on it,
Yeah.
and then let me have it back as soon as you're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eileen, can you fit one in today?
Well, I can do it this morning, but not until late, about lunchtime. Okay.
The inspector's task is to re-examine the needs of the applicants, to find out whether they are worthy of the new house.
And you've got another room? Yes. Well, this is our living room, but Carol sleeps in there.
I'll put you up.
Yes. And this is where my father and my 2...
Mr. and Mrs. Wayman and their family of 6 have waited 17 uncomplaining years to be rehoused. Their patience may finally be rewarded, subject to inspection, and always assuming their rent book is paid up to date.
You could certainly do with another bedroom. Yeah. Oh, the next thing is, have you got your rent book handy, dear? I must see that next.
Yes, that's in there. There's the rent book.
Right, that's okay. Now we'll fill in the usual form. Could you tell me your husband's occupation, first of all, please?
He's an electrician.
So that's 3 bedrooms, living room, kitchen. You've got a bathroom, haven't you?
Yes, but we haven't any hot water supply.
So it's just a cold water bath?
Yes, just about cold water.
And your toilet's in the bathroom?
Yes, that's right.
Fine. Have you any pets, cats
No,
or dogs?
haven't.
Oh, that's good, because you're not allowed dogs there anyway.
For the families in Chaucer, any offer would be acceptable in order to escape. Patch repair is the solution used by Southwark, explained by the housing manager, Cyril Mercer.
Our patch repaired properties in Southwark are in the main used for housing homeless families. These properties are short life houses which have been acquired by the council for future redevelopment. No more money is spent on them than is reasonably necessary, the accent being on ensuring that they are wind and weather tight, that they're reasonably free from damp. No bathrooms are provided, but we always go to the extent of providing a sink.
This one in here, look. This is nice and all, look, Bill.
Yeah, it's nice wallpaper.
It is, isn't it?
It's green and all.
While the Gerrards admire the wallpaper of their patch repair, just down the road, the Waymans cross their new threshold.
This is it.
For the Waymans, 17 years of waiting has ended.
Is already. Letters demanding a wash basin too.
nice, isn't it?
We call that the cloakroom. This is the kitchenette in here.
First, let's have a look in here first.
Your kitchenette.
That's a lovely big kitchen, isn't it?
You can have gas or electricity. Gas point on the back of there. What about that?
That's a nice big one, isn't it?
Huh?
Like the cupboards. Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's all the finger. That's the idea.
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
Shall I go on with it? Leave that pot.
That's nice.
It's like flying flowers.
Oh. Is that nice? This is the kitchen.
This is nice, isn't it? Look.
Nice kitchen.
Not this one.
That's all right with the sauces, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nice.
See the bedrooms? Hey? Right. Come to your coat. Take the coat off. It's warm in
See
here.
the bedroom? Up we go.
We'll have a look at the bed. Here's the governor's bedroom.
Well, this looks remarkably like the toilet. God, what a size.
That's nice, isn't it? It's your toilet bill, look.
That's handy, isn't it?
Isn't it?
What a size.
It's big, isn't it? That's nice, isn't it, John?
Yeah, but they've got to do that
You can have a
ceiling
party
bit
in
and
here.
that.
Yeah, you've got to do the thing.
If you can get in the bath every night, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
So you just touch them and that.
Yeah. Oh, no, see that?
You want all that doing enough?
Yeah.
I mean, that's dry.
What do you think?
Yes.
Should we go and have a look at the other rooms?
The rent, as you know, is £7.68, and that is satisfactory to you?
Yes.
Including £1.03 for heating, which is heating through the winter months and constant hot water throughout the year, and 9 pence for the laundry. Now, I understand you have no animals, dogs, or any animals. They're not really suitable. I'm very fond of dogs, but this particular estate is not really suitable for them. Excellent. Now, if you'll kindly then, your usual signature there.
I see.
You will have a copy of this, by the way. The third copy is yours. Excellent. Now, this is the key. Passing you into possession, you'll be able to come and go as you will now until you actually take possession in a week's time.
Come on.
Right.
Out. Right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Mrs. Jarrard?
Yeah, I will take it.
Will you?
You gonna accept it, Bill?
Yes, all right.
It's
Yeah.
nice upstairs and all, isn't it?
Have you got the key?
No.
Do you reckon it's all right, Joe?
Well, if I was you, I'd see if you could get someone else. Because
No,
of all
well,
this
we're-
dump and all that.
no,
But
we're-
it's not bad.
No, we'll take it just for the wife's sake, see, because we've got to have somewhere, haven't we?
Yeah, we'll take
What?
it.
It'll be
I
all
mean,
right,
later
then, won't
on
it?
doing the Tenants Association are going to get onto me, aren't they?
Well,
'Cause this is
they
the reason I
can't
came
get
down.
on to you, Joe, because we're going to accept this place. My wife said the same, and we'll get on with what is necessary,
Necessary, yeah.
and we'll try to make a nice place of it.
The rent for this patched home, £4.20. Supply your own heat and hot water.
Good afternoon. Could I have Miss Thorpe, allocations officer in the housing department, please? How many rooms were there? There were 7 rooms.
No bathroom?
No bathroom.
No.
I mean, the rooms are so big anyway. I think it's going to cost the earth.
It don't.
Well, it looked damp. Hello, Miss Thorpe, it's Eliane Chorley. I'm just ringing to tell you that I took Mr. and Mrs. Jarrard this morning, and they have accepted. Yes, also, there are various things that that are wrong with it, which, you know, I'd like to tell you about. Well, one of them is the damp. It's quite damp. Well, what do I tell the family?
For Frank and the other tenants of Chaucer, feelings run high at the prospect of someone else being moved. Often it leads to irrational outbursts, hampering the work of the welfare office.
That the people in here, when they want help, you don't help them at all. What you people trying to do is to get them to sell their furniture. But surely now it's going to be stopped, right? And I'm not having no more on it. I'm the one what bought that furniture, right?
Chaucer may not be the right place for Frank. His wife is epileptic and spastic, and he is unemployed and subject to uncertain tempers. Imprisoned by non-payment of rent, apathy, and a dependence on handouts, he sets out his future. A future that worries GLC planner David Eversley.
We have in London as many men unemployed at the moment as in the whole of the northern region. We have more than twice as many men unemployed here in London as in Northern Ireland, much more than twice as many as in Wales. Overall in London, we estimate something like 25% of all people are already social security or means test dependent in some way or other. In inner London, the proportion is much higher. I don't know how high it is, it can get much higher. These people are disadvantaged in more ways than one. Now, the welfare state helps them out, of course. It gives them family income supplement. It helps them with rent rebates and allowances. It gives them perhaps free school dinners. It gives them rate concession and so on. But you see the sort of condition they're in. A man brings home £20 a week. He earns an extra £1, £2 through his own effort. And most of that disappears because he loses the benefits again. So you get a large section of the population can't better itself at all. There's no point in making an effort. The middle classes are taxed 30% the margin on their income. Some of these very poor people are taxed 80, 90, 100% the margin. It's all taken away from them again. Now, these are people who've got no choices in life to make, and that worries us. We can talk about the quality of their life. Well, it's just about bearable, not actually suffering, I suppose. They have no choices to make. Now, this is the great disadvantage for the areas they live in, because people who have no choices to make, who don't spend very much, who live on a minimum, they don't attract the private investor. You don't get people wanting to build new shopping centres in areas with a huge sections of these relatively poor people. You don't get good professional services. You don't even get the best public services.
Tony, you get free milk. Do you also get free vitamins and cutlet of oil and things like that?
No.
You don't?
How to unravel the bureaucratic system is the purpose of the Claimants' Union.
Have you seen this form?
No.
Well, this is supposed to explain what to do about claiming. And it says, if you're already receiving supplementary benefit and have children under school age or pregnant, you should also be receiving free welfare milk and foods. If you are not receiving them, do not fill in this form. Instead, ask for them on your blue form A9. Do you know what a blue form A9 is?
No.
We've actually never seen one. We were hoping that perhaps somebody down here had actually seen one at some time, or at least perhaps one of your social workers had introduced you to it.
Because I didn't know, so I rang up the Department of Health and Social Security to ask them, and the man seemed to think I was a bit stupid and said, oh, well, it's just an ordinary memo form that we use for corresponding with claimants. And you, in fact, could write an ordinary letter to them to point out that you're not getting your vitamin drops.
It's quite possible that you'll have to actually go and find forms to fill in to claim your right to free benefits. Now, this is one of them, which is for free medicines. Do you know where you might actually be able to find one of those?
No.
Well, you should be able to find them in post offices. Of course, when you do, they're quite simple, aren't they? I mean, they're only asking for that much to be filled in, plough your way through. Now, Ruth's much more expert than I am on this. Once you've started to read this, Ruth, you may well find what?
Yeah, so it says there's a list of people who, in fact, shouldn't read any further. And they then say, go and get leaflet EC91 from the Post Office, local Social Security Office, or National Health Service Executive Council. And this
Now, I've got this one, Tony, which is smaller, but then they use a smaller typeface to it. All they'd want you to do is read through that, and start filling this in, well, is that right?
No, in fact, you don't read through this, but you don't fill this in unless you're an exceptional category. You then get this form from the chemist.
So although that form tells you to get this form only tells you to get that form.
Well, in fact, it even does that. It says...
but that's what it should tell you.
Oh, it says you'll usually be given a certificate authorising you to claim exemption from charges for prescriptions for yourself and your dependents while you're receiving supplementary benefit or family income supplement. Where an exemption certificate is not issued, you will be told how to obtain a refund of any prescription charges you incur. It doesn't in fact tell you anything about getting this from the chemist. So if you're not told, well, good luck to you.
I'd rather pay for it and go and get it free, mucking about with all that lot.
An attitude shared by many. This bureaucratic jargon saves the state many millions of pounds and negates the usefulness of the welfare service. Few get the right benefits.
Well, they're milk coupons we get from when we have to sign on. And we go round the shop round the corner. We get them for milk, but we can't always afford milk, so I get shopping with them. And they're supposed to be worth 7, 6 each. But when you go round George's round the corner, they give you 5 bob each on them. And you have to take them round there because it's the only shop that takes them. So you have no choice, you have to just take what he gives you.
A lack of choice has repercussions throughout the family. Recent medical surveys have shown a re-emergence of rickets among the children of the poor, an illness one had thought surely was a thing of the past. Guy Braithwaite.
It seems to be necessary that there should be some of us who have no space, or right up against the walls of their lives, subject to inspection, subject to suspicion. And also that they suspect each other, because perhaps the worst tragedy of society is when you can turn the poor against the poor. When a man who needs a job becomes an official, perhaps from the same street, exactly the same background as those to whom he's administering the law and the rubrics of society. And yet he has, in a sense, he cannot afford to have sympathy for that man who's on the other side of the counter. He has his job, he has his mandate, he has his rules. The man on the other side, in a sense, is his own mirror image, a reproach to him almost, a challenge to him, an irritation to him, because he doesn't know the rules. He hasn't been able to cope with the society. The man on this side has. I don't say blame to him for that. I just say it creates a situation of non-communication, of mutual suspicion, mutual irritation.
The people in here are sick. Sick, you know? We've had enough. If it means a demonstration, if it means keeping the welfare, keeping the rent office out of here, we'll do it. But you can take so much. And we've taken so much.
I don't hate the world. In some places I hate it. It's like here, for instance. But there's a lot of nice people in here. In fact, there's a lot of terrific people in here that don't deserve to be in here. Like the woman that moved in Saturday, with no windows in her bleeding place. And 2 little babies being brought down there. 1 20 months and 1 8 months.
Child Poverty Action Group, Citizens' Rights Office.
I don't know if you can help me. Someone said I ought to phone you.
Yeah.
I'm on supplementary benefit, and a man came round and took my book away.
Oh, what, they just came and take it away?
I've got 2 kids. I haven't got any money left.
What did he say when he took it?
He said I've been cohabiting.
Oh, what did he say? Anything about you living with a man?
I don't know what I'm going to do now.
Are you?
Well, that's what he said.
I see. Have you got a boyfriend?
I've got a boyfriend.
Yeah, and does he come round often?
Not really, no, he stayed at the weekend.
I see. Well, when this officer told you that he was taking your book away because of the man living with you, did you tell him that he wasn't?
No, except that he has stayed there sometimes.
Did you offer to let him look round the place?
That's the window where the Social Security was spying on people in Chaucer House. With the full permission of the Housing Department, Mr. Mercer, spying on women who are living on their own or unmarried mothers. If a man was living for 2 nights, that was all right. But if a man was living for 3 nights, then they're guilty.
Well, I think the sooner you come, the better, because I want you to go in today and ask the Social Security both for money for the children and ask them at the same time for an appeal form. And on this form, just simply write the words, I wish to appeal for restoration of my benefit, which is withdrawn on the grounds of cohabitation, because this is not true. Right? You got that?
The sort of things they look for is whether, of course, the couple sleep together, whether there's a common household, whether there's pooled finances, whether they eat together, whether they're known in the neighbourhood as husband and wife, whether they have children or not, whether they go on holiday together. And they're supposed to collect this evidence together and then balance one against the other and then come to a conclusion whether they think there's a common law marriage. Most of the cases we have, none of this evidence has been collected. Maybe they've spied and tried to see whether a man has entered and left on 3 consecutive evenings. Well, he's entered on 3 consecutive evenings and left in the following morning for work. If they've got that evidence, then we find they go in and withdraw the books. Just demand the books, tear them up.
Now, you're accused of cohabitation by the Supplementary Benefits Commission. How many times did they say they'd seen you with the man in question?
3 nights.
3 nights. And they found that you had been cohabiting as a result of that.
Well, yeah, to them I have been.
And were you in fact cohabiting with him?
No, not then.
You were just seeing him occasionally?
Yeah. Well, he was paying my rent arrears for me.
Oh, he was. And how often since then have you been seeing him?
Well, he's living with me now.
He's living with you now. Why is he doing that?
Because I can't get money off Social Security.
Because they stopped you as a result of the cohabitation. Now, the Director of Housing has told us that the supplementary benefits investigators didn't have any right to go on into the flat.
Well, they did have the right.
How do you know that?
He gave the right.
So he's in fact told this incorrectly, has he?
Yeah.
How do you find out that he gave the right?
Well, we had a meeting with him as Tenants Association, and he said that he'd give permission for 1 hour after, he told us that off the record.
This particular officer, of course, must always be seen to be absolutely beyond suspicion, not only from the political point of view, but of course from every other point of view. This is why chief housing officers and the staff of housing departments have to be absolutely scrupulously careful that not one action which they carry out in the allocation of accommodation, in their dealings with the public, is open to misinterpretation.
You've all heard in the press.
Disappointed that the council's promise, Chaucer to be closed by April, was not to be fulfilled, and angry at the spying, the tenants hold a meeting to decide further action.
And he assured us, he said, they had permission for 1 hour to spy on people. But at the same time, in the press, he said he had no knowledge. And this is the lies and deceit that we've got to get over. As chairman, I'm in the position of talking to these people. I've had promises, promises, promises. As members of this committee who have vouched for when we've had meetings that Chaucer House will be closed down on April the 1st, 1972. And we've promised this right up until a month ago. And it was only last week that we found out Chaucer is not going to be closed down in 1972, as promised.
Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen.
Any time I made a press statement or anything like that, I said Chaucer House closed down 1972, April the 1st. This is what we was assured by the housing manager, director of social services. And they have never wrote to me once or any of them and turned around and said it will not be closed. And it was only a month, 6 weeks ago, when he assured us it would be closed.
I think it's time for the people in Chaucer House to do something about it. They've mussed us about too long.
Would the chairman of the Planning and Development Committee please, 1, indicate which responsibilities are held by this council?
Just because I live in Chaucer House I was sacked from that job.
One word, one word, stigma.
Chaucer House.
I had to even come to you for my problem.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't help me. I went down there 2 days running and they don't give that.
Did I sort it out?
Yeah, you did sort it out. Because you're better than the blooming welfare.
Who does the welfare work for? Who does the council?
The council.
Council again. Every time it's a council, council.
I say once again to the chairman of the Health Committee, I say once again that I think that this proposal to appoint someone described as a VD welfare officer is a bad one.
We don't want to be classed as instigators, troublemakers, agitators. We want what you deserve. A decent accommodation to be your children.
It's up to you now, right, to organise a demonstration so we can go down to the council and demonstrate and say we want Chaucer House closed.
I'm considered to be a remote individual who governs their lives and who can, in fact, the raise of a hand or with a signature, just give them exactly what they want, but he just will not do it.
The neighbours were told on Friday that I could take possession of one of these flats unofficially. And news came to me this morning by one of the welfare workers that I had permission to move into this flat, which I have done. Now they're trying to board it off.
That family has said they can move in here by the welfare people. Are you married?
No, I ain't.
Well, I'll tell you what, do you like life? Yeah. Don't come down here on your own, I'll tell you that much.
Not the right guy. There's kids in here, you know.
Soldier! And if he goes up there on his own or attempts to it, they all bloody night. I personally won't be responsible for what's going to happen to him. But I'll tell you what, I'm speaking for 80, 90, 100% of these people in there. We're all homeless, we know what it's been like. This woman now, if they boarded that, where would she be? Walking the bloody streets.
They keep saying to him, we'll send it, and they've not bothered. They've not sent him.
In 4 weeks, I've had
£4 Friday, they had the cheek to give him, £4.
And that's for you, your husband?
And my little baby I've got with me. We've had to send my little lad up to my mother's because we couldn't feed him.
The homeless families down there are really quite ambivalent towards the social services. I suppose they see me as something of a benevolent being in many sorts of ways.
And so, on the 23rd of February in 1972, in the London borough of Southwark, the tenants man the barricades and wait for the officials' next move.
See, I don't know if the council will call the police in. They can get aggressive because it's quite well known, the police station down here, for giving a few right-handers out. And we know what we're going to get, so we'll give them out as well.
Where's Mrs. Trolley?
She ain't come yet. She'll be here, don't worry.
What are you running down there for, Claire? Charlie's down there.
We want mercy! Go on!
Look, and they tell kids.
You old coward!
Coward! Yell out! Say it! Close this stuff! Say it! Close this stuff!
Why every time we phone a housing department up, they say get in touch with the bloody welfare? This is why are you a housing official or are you a social worker? Well, why should you get the housing problems then? When I phone up the housing department, they say get in touch with welfare, get in touch with them, they'll sort it out.
Just come to make sure that the bins are empty. Yeah, well, he's just come back to me and told me that he couldn't get in or empty the bin, so I had to come down and see him.
That's right, he can't.
That's correct.
Yeah, we did stop him from coming.
All right, okay, thanks very much.
All right, and we all want to get out of Chaucer, we all want a decent home.
The dustmen may not have got in, but it wasn't long before the authorities made their presence felt.
I'm speaking for everybody in here. I speak to them slaves, the law down there, the fire brigade, we don't care who it is.
Who's the reason?
And we force the issue. All right, I'm called an agitating, instigating troublemaker, but if that takes that to make a bloody good chairman, I'm proud of it. A woman went to work this morning. It said, I'd like to get involved, John, but if my governor sees me on my note, God, I'm out.
I must interrupt. I'm sorry, John, your wife's there. She just went there. Go on.
Come out of the way.
Now, with the worry and the trouble and everything else, she's hemorrhaging. And I don't know what's going to happen now. She's lost a lot of bloody blood, I know that.
Suddenly, it's all over. A pathetic riot. For Tony, another traumatic moment in an already desperate young life. And for the tenants, who knows? Throughout the country, there are many such blocks, and in 1972, the gap of non-communication is widening.